Hi guys, we're back with another episode of All Things Black. I have a new friend here.
My name's Kieran. Hello, I'm from England.
Okay. So, Kieran, we are so excited to have you here today. And today me and Kieran are going to talk about colorism and yeah, so we're just going to get right on into it. So, let me see. So I actually have one question that I didn't send you. So, what does colorism look like in England? So I feel like it may be a little different than how it is here.
It's not as direct as it is in the US per se,
Okay. Okay.
but it still exists big time. So it's just a bit more like indirect through
Okay.
whether it's through dating, uh, models, or just like the type of girls that you see in the music videos, that kind of indirect behavior.
Okay. All right. So our first question today is what does the word colorism mean to you?
Um, so to me, it means when you get preferential treatment or you're discriminated based on your skin complexion, how light you are, how dark you are, etc.
Okay. What do you think are some common myths about colorism?
Oh, I don't
I,
know that.
I'll give an
Uh,
example. So one myth I think about colorism is that people think it's just about dating preferences. Or
Not true.
yeah, right. Or another myth may be oh, I think another myth would be that white people see dark skinned black people and light skinned black people the same. And a lot of studies have found that that's actually not true. That white people prefer light skinned black people. So those
Big.
are two myths, yeah, that I think.
Um, that is definitely a myth. Like white people, especially, they give light skin or mixed race people preferential treatment, especially when it comes to like the workplace. So here in
Right,
England, they have a big bar culture. They love going to the pub and drinking. They're more likely to invite me if I was lighter skin and mixed race
right.
because they'd be like, oh, he looks half black, half white. So maybe they might be kind of whitewashed or like maybe I'm more influenced by white people, which I'm not. But like me now, like their skin complexion, they would never, they would think twice before inviting me.
Right.
It's one of the myths I would say.
Okay. Um. So our next question is, why do some people not want to talk about colorism?
Um, I think like white people and light skin people, they benefit off of colorism, so they don't really want to talk about something that they're benefiting from.
Right.
Whereas us, I think for us darker skinned people, some of us are completely in denial that
Yeah.
colorism exists. And then some of us, because it doesn't affect us personally,
Right.
and because sometimes, like, let's be honest, black men sometimes are the biggest perpetrators of colorism. So
Hmm.
even though they don't benefit from it, sometimes they do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes they do.
or light skinned women, but at the end of the day, they're still a dark skinned black male. So it's just like they don't benefit from it, but they're like perks to it.
Yeah. For them in dating, especially.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
For yeah. For like for society, let's say it's so funny because the same thing that makes them bad in the eyes of white people is a positive
Mm.
thing for them with women. So like in dating, dark skinned black men are preferred. They're like seen as the pinnacle of manliness. And from my studies, a lot of women say like, "Oh, I know he'll protect me. He'll shoot for me if he needs to, or
Yeah.
just stuff like that." But that's the same reason why white people fear dark skinned, black men. They stereotype them as being more violent. So it's like the same thing that makes them.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like white men are intimidated by dark-skinned black men because
Right.
black men are hyper aggressive, hyper
Right.
masculinized, let's say, and then white women kind of idolize and hope to get a dark-skinned black man because it's what I'm guessing white men are lacking, which is why white
Mm.
men are intimidated by dark-skinned black men.
Okay. So our next question would be, how do people benefit from colorism?
So you see how, no disrespect to like people like Beyonce, but even her father admitted that because she was light skinned, she benefited so much from the music industry.
Yeah.
Like no one wants to see a dark skinned black woman be a pop star. Like if you're trendy with music right now, you see that Normani from
Harmony.
Fifth Harmony.
Mm.
Yeah, she's popping right now and she's so trendy. Like I love her right now. Like she's so blessed, but like people are gonna do whatever it takes to like bring her down when she can
Yeah.
sing. There's a lot of black women that have been pop stars or like they've made very good pop songs and they still can, but the music industry doesn't want to see a dark skinned black woman be a pop star. They want to see a lighter skinned woman or a white woman doing R&B or something like that.
Yeah.
Something that's predominantly black but a lighter face.
That's
So
true.
so like Kelly Rowland as well, she has such an amazing voice and a
Mhm.
beautiful face, but they would prefer Beyonce over Kelly Rowland. Beyonce does have the better voice. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just the principle, if you know what I
Yeah, it
mean.
is. It's the principle. It is. A lot of people's careers are propelled because they have the look,
Yeah.
and the look a lot of times is closer to white. And I think a lot of it is also because it's like you kind of have to be like rich. I feel like, and to be a big artist, you gotta kind of have white fans as well. I feel like most of the time to really get super big. And so since white people prefer light skinned black people as well, I mean, it's hard as a dark skinned artist because you have a preference for light skin in the black community and you have a preference for light skin in the white community. So
Way
how
harder.
do yeah.
I will say that
Oh,
because
it's much
they
harder.
have talent, yet they're the most underrepresented within the music industry. Whereas someone like Kanye, he is very brown, black, but like he's got a lot of white fans.
He
So
does.
really something about a dark skin or a black man that people love over like a black woman. Like, I don't know who made that quote, but the number one most disrespected person is the black woman.
It's
She
true.
truly is. Like, she
Yeah.
has so much talent, but she barely gets any credit by the industry. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I read this one article and it was talking about how like for dark skinned black women there's like they're like it's called triple, it was something, but it was basically talking about how dark skinned black women are marginalized and oppressed because they have three things going on. They have the dark
Oh,
skin. Yeah, they have the dark skin, they have being a woman, and they also have being black. So it's like, you know, so okay. Our next question is, how does traditional media perpetuate colorism?
um, so you've heard of Naomi Campbell, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way that not only the modeling industry, but like journalism and stuff like that, they've made her out to be like a bitch, a bitchy woman, always starting fights when it's always been like the makeup artist or like the designer saying, we don't want black models, we don't want to see a dark skinned woman. Same with Tyra Banks, but then she created America's Next Top Model, which I adore because it celebrates all colors, all beauties, etc. But it's the way they make black women very aggressive, very bitchy. Like they can't have an opinion without it being like, why is she being a bitch for? Like,
Right.
and I don't like how the modeling industry does that. And I feel like Naomi is like she had to break the barriers of colorism for all these women to get into all these black women to get into the modeling industry now, but she's still like an activist. She's still very active because there is still colorism in the modeling industry, and
Right.
it's actually very appalling. Even let's think. I'm trying to think of a TV show, but the way TV shows always
Yeah.
they're
TV.
very quick to hire a light-skinned woman to play the black woman or black mother, but it's like they're having trouble finding the dark-skinned woman. I'm just like, but there's lots. Like, if you could
Yeah.
just go out there and see how many dark-skinned women there are that have so much potential, but no, they have to hire a light-skinned or a mixed-race person. And I mean, they still play the part well, but it's the principle again. If you
Exactly.
watch the movie Us with the guy from Get Out and then Lupita Nyong'o, and then they had their kids. It was a whole dark-skinned black family, and I'm just like, finally,
Finally.
finally.
Right. Right.
Jordan Peele, that's his name, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, amazing. Like that
Yeah.
brother needs to start doing more movies because I feel like that's the only way I'm gonna feel like I'm represented or like my baby cousin is represented.
Right.
Because even though she's like not light skinned but not dark skinned, she's still not seeing herself being represented in the media as much. And we have, in England we have royalty, like the king and the queen. They used to though, but the prince is going out with Meghan Markle, the actress.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So even though she's mixed race, I don't like to take away her blackness from her,
Right.
but her father was said to be very like an alcoholic or abusive. So
Yeah. I saw that.
he's not portrayed very negatively in the media as opposed to her mother, always coming for her, whether it's her dreadlocks or her braids, always like, because the mother didn't want the father there because the father was abusive, but they made it seem out to be like the mother's being bitter. She needs to get a like, you don't know what happens. How do you
Right.
not?
Right.
That it's just things like that in the British media that just piss me off like all the time. But it's just
Yeah.
because white people control the most of the media,
They
whereas
do.
black people, we have most of the media we have in the UK that black people have is radio. So I feel like that's the best we have right now. But you gotta be patient.
Yeah. And Meghan Markle's mom, she's more of a browner, or I guess definitely for in the UK, she would be like considered to be more of a darker skinned person. So yeah, she wouldn't be able to speak, say she wouldn't want somebody there without it coming off as, aggressive or rude. Okay. So our next question is, how do you think colorism affects employment and career opportunities?
I've currently heard of like obviously you have the creative industries for like film, modeling, and singing. You are definitely less likely of reaching star quality or the top if you have a certain complexion. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
However, for like normal 9 to 5 jobs, you will get a job eventually, but everyone has their own individual prejudices and
Yeah.
discriminatory bigotry, etc. So I really can't say. It depends how pretty you are to them.
Yeah,
It depends
exactly.
how
Pretty is a
talented
big one.
you are for them to exploit your talent.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna have to say I don't know, but let's be honest, like colorism isn't a factor why they wouldn't get that job or wouldn't get that wealth. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, the being pretty thing or handsome is a big one. It's
Yeah.
a really big one. It's people. I saw this one study that said that a study found that people who look prettier appear smarter to people.
Yeah, they do.
So yeah, so they might be more inclined to hire somebody that they find more attractive because they think they'll be better. So that's interesting. Okay. So what role does colorism play in dating and marriage?
Well, let's break it down. Marriage comes from it was always to do with like religion. but it was never to do with love. You know, when you have the whole white garments, the white dress and everything, white is a symbol of purity and fairness, and white being a lighter color, it's always symbolized as that it has good connotations with it. And you know, you never see black women dress because it's always symbolized to be bad, evil, negative. So it's just like people will have that kind of thing in their mindset. Like the lighter my wife or husband is, the better my life would be. You know, so I think people will put it in their dating preferences, but their preferences are based on colorism, and it's not gonna do good for them in the long run. When I see some of these young couples, like whether it's on YouTube or Instagram and stuff, I don't know who it was, but it was this one woman who just gave birth
The
to
Prince
like,
family.
huh?
The Prince family. Bianca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like she gave birth to the baby and she was like, oh, she doesn't have pretty hair and like nice brown eyes and she looks kind of dark. And I'm just like, who gives an F? Like, it's your baby. Like, why would you have a baby in the first place if you know there's a possibility of her having that skin complexion? It's just it's disgusting how this is what people do with their. I mean, this is dating, I guess. This is people having families, but it's just disgusting. Like, it's just you can't do that.
Yeah.
If this is how people are going to act when they're dating, when they're married, when they have children, they shouldn't be together because the mixed babies, light skinned babies, they're not a item. They're not a commodity. They're human.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like it's just so gross.
It is. We fetishize the black
Yeah,
community, like, everywhere. It seems like fetishizes light skinned babies. I don't know why. To me, it's creepy because, like, in my studies, I have found like a lot of men say that they prefer light skinned women because they want a light skinned baby. To me, that sounds now.
so
Yeah,
this is like color, so in like discrimination
definitely.
wrong with like colorism interacts with other things.
Mm,
No,
realistic features.
no footballers because they love in white European women or light skinned women, specifically,
Here,
and it does, but like it's not a thing. Like, it sounds so that's the common in football now.
yeah. It's here too. Here, football, basketball, or even the music industry. Like, you're more likely for a mixed race woman, and even a football player, um, not soccer, but like football. Even a football player um, said, well, he didn't say it. He was at like a gathering, and someone toasted to. So he has a white wife. Someone toasted to more light skinned babies, and the white wife posted it on Beyonce's internet for everyone to see. And so yeah, everybody saw it. And she was like, yeah, toast them. Somebody said toast to more light skinned babies. It's a thing. People date based on how they want their baby to look like.
But that's kind of it's like eugenics. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's not acceptable. You can't.
Yeah,
This is babies. This is a human lives we're playing with, and this is the effect that colorism is having on us in 2019. It's the effect colorism has had on us since it was established, I guess.
yeah, I agree. Okay. So we still have a couple more questions. So I asked you the question, how does gender interact with colorism? But we already kind of talked about that, so I'm gonna skip that one. Um, so we talked about the difference in preference and colorism really already too. You answered that when I asked you the dating and marriage one. So we'll skip that one. And so our last couple questions are, do you have any personal experiences with colorism?
Not directly to
Yeah.
face. I think it's when you have like a range of boys between lighter skin and darker skin. When there's a lot of white girls that would like approach me, and they were pretty, but it's just you never knew what their intentions were. But light skinned boys were like the pretty boys, but because they're lighter skin, they're not seen as masculine enough.
Right.
Whereas they would for the darker skinned boys because we, stereotypically we were
Yeah, exactly.
masculine and very aggressive. But I was just like, I'm not like that. I'm actually very soft. And they're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're not like the other. And I was like, yeah, I know I'm not. Does that surprise you? It's like, yeah, but they still liked me. But I'm just like, when they say stuff like we would make great babies, I'm just like, ew, gross,
Yeah.
gross,
It
gross.
is.
It's too early to be thinking about babies, and I'm not like I don't think like that. I don't think we would make great babies. I'm just thinking, are we going to be happily married? Would
Hmm.
it work out with parents? I'm thinking logically, and they're thinking of genetics. It's just it gets so gross now that it's just like I don't want to. I don't really want to date outside my race, anyways. I like sticking to black women because I mean they're beautiful. They're unappreciated, really. It's a constant fight between white girls, Asian girls, and black girls over black guys.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
why? Like everyone has their preference, and then everyone has their preference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like some people are innocent and like they just like a black guy, which is fine. And
Mhm.
some people just like the experience of dating a black guy to piss off their parents and
Mhm.
because of like light skinned babies or just the stereotypical gang life road man, if
Mhm.
you know the concept. Yeah. So me personally, I haven't like I hang out with people. I'm okay to be friends, but like to be dating, it's very hard for me to date because when people say stuff like that, like "oh, we'd had nice babies" or "you have nice hair," even though it's an afro, I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah, it changes your perception of them.
Yeah, it's
So
just like
sometimes it is hard to date.
yeah, it's a backhanded compliment, and then I'm just like, I think we just should be friends or something. Because if you're gonna say things like that, I'm gonna get pissed off. They probably won't know because they think they're complimenting me, but really it's just like an insult
It
based
is.
on wisdom, and I don't
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. It's hard to date if you're like aware of certain things because
Yeah,
things will things will that people may see as like a small deal or not that irritating. I just take as just like very irritating. Like I was on the phone with a guy one time and they were like, I guess they were trying to make a joke and they were like, "Did you just say I was a typical light skin?" I didn't say this at all. So, but they were just trying to make a joke, and I was on the phone like, so I was like, "No, I didn't say that." I was like, "Why did I said I didn't say that? I don't say stuff like that." And they're like, "Oh, I thought I just heard you say I was a typical light skin." So then I thought about it. I'm like, "Oh, they're trying to make a joke. I'm supposed to laugh, haha." Like it's supposed to be a joke. But to me, I'm like, okay, I it just wasn't funny. And I'm
it's
like,
cringy.
yeah, it's cringy. It's cringy. So I'm like, then immediately I don't like you. So it's like it is hard to it's hard to date sometimes because it's so normalized to make jokes about
Dark skinned people.
yeah, it's so normalized one to make jokes about dark skinned people and it's so normalized to just joke about skin period. It's a normal thing.
Especially in school. If you were like like we had a couple of dark skinned people from Nigeria and Senegal, and when it was an all boys school as well. So when they're calling them, "Hey, midnight," and I'm just like, "Who? Midnight?" Like it's just like or like dark cloud or just like one of those nasty little words. I'm just like, why are you saying that for? Like, just call him by his name. Like that was their high school or secondary school experience. they didn't let it affect them, but it's just the fact that it was so normalized to say, "Hey, midnight." Like, you don't say things like that. That's extremely rude, dehumanizing. I'm like, no, you can't do them things.
Yeah.
And it's so normalized to like everyone to just say how much, like, because in England we say, look at that lighty, as in light skinned woman, and then
Mhm.
girls say it for like a light skinned guy, and I'm just like, why you gotta highlight the fact that he's light skinned? Like, why do you want him? Like, why do you want him even more because he's light skinned? Because he's a pretty boy, and it's just like, what? All these things that, because light skin is associated with being more feminine and like more
Yes.
soft. So
Mhm.
I feel like that's where light skinned guys are, even though they benefit from it, they're kind of at a
Yeah.
disadvantage because all the girls think they're soft
Right.
when,
Right. They benefit from it, but they are disadvantaged.
like, so this is why I'm saying, even you can benefit from a system of oppression, but even then it's going to affect you badly in some way. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, good
those light
point.
guys, they always got annoyed that girls thought that they were soft, even though they weren't. But hey, that's the stereotype of colorism. I'm just like, this is why you need to let them know that it's not okay to think like that. But to each to their own, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So our last question is, um, do you think colorism will ever end?
Um, I mean, nothing lasts forever, but colorism is something that has gone on even before slavery, actually. So, and colorism is, it's not just a black issue as well. If you know about South Asia and East Asia,
Yes. South
you
Asia?
yeah, so they have a huge skin bleaching problem over there.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, if you work in the field, you were the darker skinned person, and it was nothing that you want to aspire to. You want to be in the house with the lighter skinned people to have status. And obviously, in like, especially countries like India, the closer to
Yeah.
lighter skin you are, the better you are to employment, or other type of creative jobs or opportunities. Whereas if you're darker skinned, you're always going to be seen as the lowest of. They have a class system there, so like
Yeah,
the
they do.
poorest. Yeah, it's like in Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, like all these other countries, and this is why, like, this is what the skin bleaching cream is capitalizing off the
Yeah.
colorism and darker skinned people's insecurities because of colorism.
Right.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it will end, but not anytime soon, because it's something that we're gonna have to dismantle within ourselves, and that's gonna take quite a while, since there are people who are benefiting from it and there are people that are perpetrating from it and also not benefiting from it, but because it doesn't happen to them as much, they don't care.
Right.
So it's gonna take a very long time, like, because even with Obama being the first black president, that did not get rid of racism. That actually made it
No.
worse leading up to Donald Trump. So then it's just
Yeah, it
like,
doesn't make yeah. And a lot of people I've read stuff about so one, but yeah, the colorism in Thailand. I went to schools in Thailand for 3.5 months, and the colorism over there is whew, like the school I went to. People carry umbrellas. It's like 3 million degrees outside, and they have umbrellas over their face.
they do it the same in the States. Like, the closer to darkness you are, it's always seen as a negative connotation.
Yeah,
But hey, you're from an exotic country. Like, there's gonna be sun. You're gonna be dark anyways. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand what the big deal was, and I don't know why. It's like, I don't understand
yeah.
what do you gain from it. That's what I was. I don't think it will end anytime soon. But it's just because all these it goes back to like traditional times. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was also tradition, that colorism. So I guess it's something that we're going to have to break down the barriers first and dismantle, and then eventually there will be no colorism. But That's not going to happen anytime soon with all these skin bleaching products and people of lighter skin always being represented in media. It's just not going to happen anytime soon.
Even many people say that like President Obama was elected because would not have been elected if he was a dark-skinned black man.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
He would not have been elected.
He's only been called the first black president because of the one drop rule.
One drop rule.
I don't want to take away like his blackness. Like he is
right,
half,
of course.
But he was very light skinned. He was very like he was very well educated. Like the head of the department when he was like in college, he went to Harvard University.
Right.
Like he needed to have his shit together to become the first president, and because America was at a time where it was just like, let's prove that we're not racist. Let's prove that we're the greatest country in the world, and we strive with equality and diversity. And that was the token black man that they needed
exactly
to prove it. But like, you're never gonna see someone like a dark-skinned black man who's from Senegal or wait, they don't even allow someone who's not a United citizen. United States citizen.
I see what you're saying. You wouldn't see like a dark-skinned like Donald Trump character, somebody who's not that educated as
you can never be educated and go to the White House. Like no. Donald Trump can do it because Donald Trump is white and he's a businessman.
Exactly.
You need no education. But if you're a black man, you need to have one of the top degrees.
Right.
Preferably light skin. You can't have no criminal record as well.
Right.
Like, you will never see someone like Jay-Z being president.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
It's true. You got to be a certain type of black person, and that has to be the type that white people see as a good fit. So,
like Michelle Obama, I think she's gonna run for president, but like, even though I like her, I can't see it because America's not a progressive country.
Would not get elected. People called her, and the former first lady is beautiful, but people called her, compare her to so many animals, compare her to so many different derogatory things while she was the first lady. So I don't see that, but you never know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time and for answering all of my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So it was nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Take care.
Okay, well, bye.
Bye.